Good morning, everybody. We are live, as you can see on your screen. If you are watching this on a recording, we will be starting up in about 5 minutes. So get set to go. Math class. Very exciting math class. Starting in 5 minutes. The grinding you're about to hear is my coffee maker. I didn't get my cup of joe. It's okay. Don't worry about that noise. That's just my coffee maker grinding beans. We'll be set to go in about 3 minutes. Oh, yeah. Class starting up in about 3 minutes. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Super Sandwich and Michaela. And I know it's you, Logan. Takanari, Justin, Izzy. We are back. Tell your friends we are set to go. We have currently, I'm one of the 6 that's watching, so there's only 5 students in the classroom. When class is about to get started, I know this is exhausting, but we got to get this stuff done. Get her done. With that, it is 9 o'clock, so we are going to get started with our class today. It is a brand new lesson, and then big news for you at the end as well. Good morning, Allison. Here it is, your lesson for today. If you join us late, well, and this is always what's so funny. I talk to people who are about to be late, but I'm speaking to them as if they're here. So if I say now, if you join us late, make sure you do this, but they're not here to hear that that's what they should do when they're late. So that's a really useless thing to say. It's just like saying, so to those of you who aren't watching this, this is what I'm saying to you. If you are watching on a recording, make sure you watch it over and over again. It's good stuff today. Good stuff. Time graphs. We have been doing our trig graphs so far with radians. So I know what you have seen this graph, I want to say 1,000,000 times before. A million, it could be what it is. So far, we have looked at our graphs in terms of radians. For example, the graph of y equals sine x. Bam! You've seen this graph so many times, you can't believe it. There's your sine graph. You start in the middle at 0, 0. Sine go up, sine go down, man. It's remarkable. We've seen this so many times. All of that stays the same today. A sine graph still looks like that. The y-axis still looks like that. What we're going to change today with time graphs is the x-axis. We're going to make the x-axis look a bit different. So right now, for instance, look at the x-axis. Notice the x-axis goes from 0 to 2 pi. See it? See it? 0 to 2 pi is our x-axis. Well, now we can look at these graphs in terms of time instead. So look at the equation, y equals sine 2 pi over 4x. All our time graphs are going to have a pi in where b is. Now you remember our y equals a sine b x minus c. B is always the number right in front of x. Look in front of x. See how there's a 2 pi? As soon as there's a pi in front of x, it changes everything. Sure, the original graph did look the same, but not anymore. Let's think about what b is. What is b? B is, we know b is the same as 2 pi over the period. Well, now look at b. Can you see that b is 2 pi over 4? Well, if b is 2 pi over the period, and b is also 2 pi over 4, the period must be 4. Not 4 pi, just 4. For what, you might ask? 4 days, 4 hours, 4 minutes, 4 seconds, 4 years. It's whatever time increment the problem is in terms of. So watch what we do to our x-axis. It's going now pi over, that dripping noise you hear in the back is a fresh hot cup of coffee coming out of my coffee machine right now. So I'm going to take a break in about, I don't know how long it takes to get that thing out of that, into that delicious mug. It's going to go sine 2 pi over 4. Period is 4. So see at the end how we have 2 pi. Well, no longer. We're going to take the 2 pi that is at the end of our axis. I'm going to change it just to 4. The 2 pi that was at the end, it gets changed to 4. Because in our question, it said 2 pi over 4. That means the period's 4. What if the b in the question had said 2 pi over 8? Then our period's 8. What if it says 2 pi over 6? Then the period's 6. You see what I'm saying? It's 2 pi over the period. So whatever number is under the 2 pi, that's our new period. Well, if it takes 4, let's think of your favorite time increment. 4 days, 4 hours, 4 months. Okay, let's go with, 4 days. If this is 4 days all the way at the end, how much do you think it is halfway through the graph? That's right, 2 days. Well, if it's 2 days halfway through the graph, look at your sine graph. What is it halfway to 2? It's 1 day. And then 3 days. And that's our new x-axis. And that's it. That's all you have to do. Y equals sine 2 pi over 4, meaning our period is 4. 4 days, 4 months, and that's the only thing that's new today. That's it. That's the only thing. We're going to do a big problem, and we'll see what happens. So, what if I had asked you to graph 3 cos 2 pi over 8 bracket x minus 2 plus 1. So you have to look carefully at those brackets. Find the X in the middle of that bracket. If you look at the top where the question is, find the X in the middle of the bracket. That is your angle, your variable, your theta, your X. And notice it's got an X minus 2. Well, there's your phase shift. But what's right in front of that X minus 2? There it is, 2 pi over 8. So if it's 2 pi over 8, what does that tell you? The period is 8. 8 what? I don't know. 8 days, 8 months, it doesn't matter. So we're going to do this question exactly the same. So I've drawn a real quick cos theta graph. If you have a piece of paper with you, or turn over the back of something, see if you can sketch this out. Draw a quick cosine graph, and then see what you can do with the y-axis and with the x-axis. The next minute, actually about 30 seconds, is intentionally silent because I'm getting my cup of coffee. So see if you can, this is like when we're in class and I say, okay, here's a problem, try it. And then I go and I walk around the hallways because Mr. Klein's out there with a cup of coffee and I'm just going to go get something from him. All right, I'll be right back. Oh, delicious. Change your y-axis first, then change your x-axis. We got it going on. I don't know if I've ever been happier about a cup of coffee. All right. Oh, pure deliciousness. There it is. See, the advantage you have is you could be doing the exact same thing. In fact, I'm pretty sure, no names mentioned, even though you've typed your name in there, I'm pretty sure some of you come in, you go to the chat, you type in hi, and then you go back to bed. I know some in my other classes have been doing that. They kind of got busted. Anyways, here we go. First things first, we do this, everything's exactly the same. What does the 3 do that's right in front of the word cosine? That's right. Changes the y-axis to 3 and to -3. I'm hoping by now, after more than a month of this, you can do that in your sleep. Some of you are sleeping. Now, let's affect the x-axis. So if you're giving yourself scores for these, there's steps. And I'm going to give you cash money at the end of each step you did right. What's the first thing you do? Change the y-axis. 3 and -3. Cash money. Now let's change the x-axis. We have 2 pi over 8. 2 pi over 8 is our x-axis. So what does that mean again? 2 pi over b, or so 2 pi over the period. The period must be 8. So go to the end of your cos graph. Change that to an 8. Our cosine graph now takes 8 to finish. Not 2 pi, 8. 8 what? 8 days, 8 seconds, 8 months, 8 weeks, 8 years. It doesn't matter. It's a time increment. It matters in the question, but the question will tell you what it is. Well, now cut in half. If it finishes at 8, how long does it take to go halfway through? That would be 4. Well, then cut the 4 in half. It must take 2. And then we see our pattern. 2, 4, 6, and 8. You just changed your x-axis. Money in the bank. You just got your second mark. Fantismo. Now, we do the same process we did before. Now we write out the BS points. Only in this case, your before shift points are going to be so much easier because we don't have any pi on our graph anymore. No, we got a clean sheet. No more pi all over this. Look at your points now. Where's your first point? It's up at the top. It's now 0, 3. Right there. Now what about down here? It hits the x-axis. You don't have to have all those fancy pi stuff now. It hits the axis when x is 2 and y is 0. Then it comes down to the bottom where x is 4 and y is -3. We just got 4, -3 now. Back up to the middle, and that's now just 6, 0. Yes, it is. And then we end off, 8, 3. You've written down your BS points. Now you're ready to go. We've got our same equation. Your BS points have now been written out. So we have taken care of the 3, which stretches it vertically. We've taken care of the 2 pi over 8, which stretches it horizontally. All we have left, 2 things. We got our BS points. Now we're going to take our after shift points. We're going to shift this graph. Shift it to right and up 1. See in the middle of the graph, it's got the x -2. That tells you to shift it right too. The +1, shift it up 1, just like we've been doing for a month. Take each of those points, 0, 3. If you shift the x forwards 2 and shift the y up 1, we have 2, 4. Take 2, 0, shift the x forwards 2 and the y up 1. 4, -3, shift the x forwards 2, shift the y up 1. 6, 0, shift the x forwards 2 and the y up 1. 8, 3, take the x and shift it forwards 2 and the y up 1. And there we have it. Oh, hello, Mufid. Welcome. Welcome. There's your after shift points, and we're good with that. We've got everything we need now. All we need to do now is actually graph and brag, and we're done. Yet another graph where we brag. So we saw all our points. Our graph will look lovely like this. And look, just like in the movies, look at that first point where the cosine graph starts. We said it started at 2, 4. Look at it. Look where x is 2 and y is 4. There is your first point on the cosine graph. This thing does go forever, but there's your first point, 2, 4. And we go down. Oh, look. Oh, yeah. Right there is 6, -2. Here's 4, 1, 8, 1, 10, 4. All those points, 10, 4, big buddy, they're right on our graph. That's fantasmo. Did you make a nice graph? Does it look curvy? If your shape is curvy and not with straight, jagged lines, you get 1 mark. Remember, guys, don't put points and corners and straight lines on these things. They're curves. Did you get the points right? Did you graph 2, 4, 4, 1, 6, -2? Give yourself another point. So at this point, I'm going to go over with the 13 of you that are here. So there's half the class, about how you're watching these videos. If you are sitting down, maybe still in bed, no pen, no paper, you're watching it like you're watching TV. You're not actually getting the most out of these things. Others of you are sitting at a desk somewhere, you've got a pen and paper, and as I'm talking, you're trying to do the graph yourself. You're trying to learn as you go. You're getting way more out of it. Some of you are going to watch this now, say, I don't know, but I signed in, so I'm doing my part. I'm working really hard. And you'll tell your parents you're working really hard. I will disagree with you. And then maybe you'll watch it later and try it with a pen and paper then. All I'm asking, you can get a lot out of this, but treat it like a class, not like a movie. And it'll be a bit better for you. As we've gone over, we have about a month of school left. We will be finished June 19th. That's right. June 19th, you will be all done in this class. And I'm giving you no final exam. There will be a series of quizzes at the end that final week. Quizzes on logarithms. I'm going to start reviewing logs pretty soon because we're almost done trig. All right, then. Let's see about our next points. We've got the amplitude, period, phase shift, vertical shift. That's coming up as well. First of all, our amplitude, that's 3. Just like it was normally, you can either look at the equation and take the first number off the front, or you could do the max minus min divided by 2 thing. The things that are going to be different are the period and the phase shift, because they will no longer have pi's in them. We're not dealing with pi anymore if 2 pi is in the b. So if there's just a number in the b, then your bragging and your graph is going to have pi's on the axis. But if the pi is in the actual equation, the graph and the bragging contains just numbers. Our period's 8. You can see it right there in the formula, 2 pi over 8. And then that's 1 mark, half a mark for each of those, half a mark for these two. Your phase shift, it's 2, not 2 pi, not pi over 2, just 2. It's a time graph. And then finally, our vertical shift is 1, meaning we went 1 up, just like we would have before. And there's your last mark there for that bragging. So we're done for today. Let's have a look, and I'll sort you out for the next little bit. Because here's what we can do for now. I'm going to go through all the steps with you. So to review, change the y-axis, change your x-axis, write out your BS points, write out your AS points, graph a beautiful shape from the AS points, label the exact points, state the amplitude, period, phase shift, vertical shift. There will also be some questions about domain and range and all those things. And that's it. There's your 8 marks for doing a question like this, or 6 marks, I think. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7. No, I'm right. 8. 8 marks. Unbelievable. Amazing. 8 marks. The only thing that's different is that if 2 pi is part of the b, our graph is now a time graph. That's it. So it's a new lesson today, but it's not really. Just change the x-axis into time, and that's the only thing that's new. So where do we go from here? Well, I'll show you. I got homework assignment number 12 for you coming up. It's going to be 5 marks, and it's going to look a bit just like this. I'm going to send you, that sounded so Italian. I'm going to send you your assignment 12 today in an email. You have 48 hours to do 2 questions. Now, I know you hate it when adults use the word disappointed. I sent you guys an assignment last week. It was 5 questions, and I gave you the answers. Multiple choice answers. You had 1 week. You didn't even have to send me your assignment. You just had to send me your score out of 5. I gave you that the answers were AC, DC, or whatever they were. You just had to email me in a week and say, I got 4 of them. I got 5 of them. 7 people did not do that. In a week, they could not send me an email. 5 of you sent me an email just before midnight last night. I know things are tough. I know if some of you have other classes, you're doing that a lot. I know some of you are working part-time. I understand. I'm giving you 2 questions, and I'm giving you 48 hours. Remember when we used to be in school? Classes started at 8 in the morning, and you were in class for an hour and 20 minutes. This video has been 20 minutes. So if you spent an hour doing these 2 questions I'm giving you right now, that's like 1 class. And that's it. Then you had 3 other classes in a day. I'm wondering how any of you went to school before. It was if this is tough, 2 questions in 2 days. Come on, guys. We can do this. But you got to send your work in to me, please. You have to have them in before Friday at 9. I'm not taking them after Friday at 9. It's too hard to give a week. Send it to me before Friday, 9 a.m. Very good. And then you get to enjoy another break because Friday is a Pro D day and Monday's Victoria Day, so there was no school scheduled. So that's right, we have another week off. You don't have class again for a week. However, your assignment still needs to be handed in before Wednesday. Sorry, before Friday. Before Friday at 9. I'm making it very clear. I keep saying it over and over and over again. For those of you who did join late, see, now's the time to start talking to the people that were late. I started talking to you at the beginning and then realized how stupid that was because you weren't here. If you did join late, watch the video again from the beginning and you'll see all the different things about time graphs. That is it. We are not back together until Wednesday at 9 a.m., where we will continue the wonderful month of May with our trigonometry. And then we're going to end up our trig unit, do a little review with logs. We're going to have some little quizzes. We're going to have a log quiz, a transformation quiz, and a trig quiz. Those will be more substantial, and that will make up your final marks. These marks do count. So for the lot of you that could not send me an email in the last week, it counts. Show me your stuff. Give me these questions. I will email you the assignment, and we'll go from there. My email address, should you need it, is still there, and I will talk to you next Wednesday morning at 9 a.m. Until then, thank you, and good night from NBC News.